Hi, this is Rob Sheen with the Source Conference, and today I'm here with Swapnil Deshmukh, and we're going to be talking about his talk that he's going to be doing at the Source Phoenix event on February 28th and March 1st. So, Swapnil, your talk is Pack Your Android, Everything You Needed to Know About Android Boxing. So, could you tell us a little bit about your talk?
Sure. There is a very interesting trend that started in 2017 where a lot of malwares were published in Google Play Store and went completely unnoticed for longest of the time. In fact, there was a report that came out that stated that 1 in 3 applications that were released in 2017 had some or the other malicious content on the Android phone, which was collecting a lot of user information itself without user knowing about it. So that got me thinking about why exactly are we not able to identify those threats or the malwares before it's been released to Play Store. And what I noticed was a lot of Android applications were packed. What that means is that it's been hardened in some form. Either it's been obfuscated, or it's been protected, or it's been packed. Uh, so when I started digging through this, I noticed that there are a lot many hoops that you have to jump through in order to understand what that malicious content is trying to do. They have various protections in place that will identify if it's running in an emulated environment or it's running in a rooted device itself, which makes it a little harder for the Google Play stores or our trusted app stores itself to identify it early. So I started a GitHub project that would basically be an abstraction of all the different malicious contents that are already out there. So it looks for the signatures of those, and what it's trying to do is it's looking for the hardened application and trying to unharden those applications first, and then looking for a malicious payload itself. So that's that's where the talk comes in play. The talk is going to be focused around how to first identify the hardened application and what kind of a hardening mechanisms are they using at the first place. And then once we understand that, how can we use static code analysis to unharden that application and understand what malicious payload is being injected at a given point. So that's the gist of the entire talk.
Cool. So, yeah, it's interesting as I was reading through your abstract, noticing all the different ways that they make it hard to detect what they're doing. So you know, they'll obfuscate the data, they pack everything up. So basically, the normal kinds of tools that you would use to find issues aren't going to work. So your project then basically undoes that.
That's right.
Cool.
And there are certainly some research work around this, but they were in 2014 and 2015. So a lot of tools that they released along with it has been completely obfuscated. Sorry, not obfuscated. It's not being used anymore. It's completely obsolete. So as a result of that, I'm creating a GitHub project that would be a live document where everyone can contribute to it.
Got it. And the things where you said it's detecting if you're running in an emulated environment or in a root environment, how does it what it, by doing that, how is that preventing the researcher from finding the issues?
So if you look at Google Bouncer, which is a, app that has been used by Google Play Store itself to identify malicious content, it runs in an emulated environment. So as a malicious author itself, what they try to do is identify if it's running in a emulated environment, and then they will not inflate their malicious content on the emulated environment itself. As a result of that, when Google Bouncer is evaluating the application or trying to run it in an emulated environment to see what the application actually does, the malicious payload itself at no given point is being inflated,
Hmm.
which is not run on the device itself, right? So those
So,
are,
so it
sorry, go
actually
ahead.
runs. So it actually runs differently when they're testing it versus in the actual real environment. Then,
You got it.
huh? That's really interesting. Yeah, that makes it tough to find, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And there was a application called TZ that was detected recently, in fact, in November, last week of November, and it was there for like 1.5 years on most of the trusted app stores that we have for Android. And the reason why we were not able to detect it is because they were looking for if it's running in an emulated environment or is it running in a real devices itself.
Hmm.
So since there are challenges like those, there are certainly ways that malicious authors have found ways of how they can circumvent from getting detected.
Right. And that's
The
particularly scary since you have 1 in 3 apps that are malicious. And then, according to your abstract, they can basically take photos, record calls, monitor info about the Wi-Fi access, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It sounds like they can basically do all the things the phone can do.
You got it. And the scary part is ransomware has also been on a high this year.
Mm.
So we have seen instances of where they're encrypting the entire SD card itself, or they will encrypt or lock your device with their own PIN, and you have to pay a certain bitcoins to them to get the unlock code.
That's
So it becomes even
awful.
more scarier. I agree.
Hmm. Yeah, because that's something you could distribute in mass and hit a lot of people at once. That's crazy. So for your talk, who's the target audience? Who would be the best to hear this information and do something useful with it?
So I'm looking at three different target audiences at this given point. I'm looking at anyone and everyone who is using Android applications. So I want to give them an arsenal, a tool that they can scan the application or an APK that will state out what are the malicious content in that particular application itself. So finding a way of detecting it and finding a way of how we can read it to make sure that we are protecting our devices. The second that I'm looking at is a security personnel who is evaluating code or evaluating APK or the Android application itself by providing them a tool on how they can do it in the most efficient way. So that's my second target audience. And the third target audience is DevSecOps is hitting along as well, right? So any enthusiast that we have for DevSecOps itself, I just want to find a way of how we can show them the automated way of identifying malicious content and blocking them on the fly.
Hmm. Sounds good. Um, so is this something that the end user could potentially use to find issues then?
True. So we have a website that has the live instance of it. Anyone can upload an APK or an Android application and scan it um, on the fly itself, and it will let you know what are the malicious content in there, or is it harmful to install on your device at any given point.
Hmm. Sounds really interesting. All right. I think that gives a pretty good overview. I love when we have people who can come on and do tool releases to solve real world problems. So this sounds like a good one. So we'll be looking forward to seeing your talk in Phoenix at Phoenix Mesa actually at the conference on February 28th to March 1st.
Awesome. Happy to be a part of it. It gives me the perfect platform to explore further on how we can expand the initiative that I started. So thanks again for giving me an opportunity to talk at Mesa. I certainly know it's huge. So thanks again, Rob.
Yeah, great, no problem. Looking forward to seeing you there.
Likewise.
Great, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Rob.